Hi, in this video I'll be demonstrating how to assemble the Trojan Elliptical Climber. Right, I find the easiest way to unpackage this without destroying the box is to put it on its side and then to slide the inner outwards. Right, the manual in the box has some steps for how to assemble it. The steps are labeled 1 to 6. They have packaged the components according to the steps. For example, there is step 1 and there are the nuts and bolts and washers for step 1 and so forth. The tools are available in the package. I'll be using my own tools though. Step 1 requires me to install the tubes, which will then be the stands. Now I'm going to be using the nuts and bolts in the section that is marked step 1. Now my unit is on the side, but that gives me good access to put the first tube over here. So I'm going to install the first tube, then I'm going to flip it down and install the second tube. Right, so I'm going to fit the first tube, which is going over here. Notice there's an arrow which is showing up. This will be seated on the floor. This curved part here is the front. The front has the wheels. Right, there are 4 screws I need to insert here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I first put the spring washer and then I put the regular washer. That is the spring washer and that's the regular washer. I thread that through and there's a nut welded on the other side which will hold it in place. I do this 4 times. Now they've supplied the 6mm Allen key which can be used to tighten this. I'm just using my portable screwdriver. This does not need to be very tight. Tighten it until the spring washer becomes flat. There you can see the screws coming out the other side. If you make it too tight, you'll deform the frame here. This only needs to be tightened to about 5 or 6 Newton meters. I'm now going to flip the unit to do the other tube. I now have the second tube. This one is towards the back. I know it's a back because there are no wheels here, just these feet. I lift this and bring it towards the tube. I now insert the 4 screws. I tighten these one by one. I tighten until the spring washer is flat. It's not very tight, it's only about 5 or 6 Newton meters. Right, I'm now on step 2 and I'm assembling the pedals. Notice there's an orientation. This says left, this says left. I'm working on the left. There's a bracket that needs to be inserted here. Notice the orientation. It's got these flanges and those flare outwards. So it goes flange and then pedal. I line up the screw holes and I insert the bolt. I now insert the other bolt. Both bolts are recessed in the pedal. On the underside, I'll now put a washer and a nylon nut. So I'm now threading the washer and the nylon nut. I need to do this for the top and the bottom of the pedal. I'm not going to tighten that yet. I'm now going to do the right side. The left is in place, but I haven't tightened it. I'm now going to do the right. Following the same procedure, I have my flared bracket. I insert the pedal. I then locate the hole and I insert the bolt through the pedal. I do the same on the top part. I now take my washer and my nylon nut and I tie it at the back. I'm screwing in the nylon nut. Here is the second nylon nut and the washer. Now for purposes of the camera, I'm going to lift the unit and show you me tightening the nuts. Now in the package set, they've provided you with this tool. I can tighten the nylon nut with this tool over here. If you're going to be using a portable screwdriver, this is a size 13. Right, since this is a nylon nut, I do not need to make this very tight. It will not come undone because of the nylon threads there. I just need to make it hand tight. When it's offering some resistance, I do another half turn. I now tighten the other side. Now this is the underside. Notice that the threads here are fewer than the threads here. The reason for that is this plate. This plate adds some thickness and that is why these do not match. That is correct. Your unit should now look like this. Make sure that the heads of the bolts are recessed into the pedal. Right, and I need to make the handlebar go upright like that. Once you make it upright, you'll notice that there are 2 holes on either side. There's a hole there and there's a hole at the back. Right, for step 3, I have this longer bolt and then the shorter screw with a washer and a spring washer. I'm going to start with the longer bolt. So what I do is I remove the nut and I insert the screw part over there and the nylon nut on the other side. I will tighten them shortly. I now have the shorter screw. I have the spring washer and the normal washer and it goes here into the back. I now tighten the screw until the spring washer is collapsed. I do make this quite tight. This is about 8 Newton meters. Right, for this step I need to take the Allen key And then I also need to take the tool that they've provided. I hold the tool on the nut side, the nylon nut, and I turn this while the nylon nut does not move. There is a cable running here. Just be sure not to get the cable under the head of the screw. It might be easier for you to turn this side. So I'm tightening this side until it gets quite tight. Now I locate these two covers which are going to go and encapsulate around the shaft. Now on my unit, surprisingly, there are two screws that are sitting on the side here already. They need to be removed. They do provide a Phillips screwdriver, and I'm going to just remove these two screws. Yours might not have the screws already there. I'm now going to encapsulate this, and it should fit snugly. Note that mine initially did not fit snugly because there were screws in the way. Seems like it had been assembled by someone else. Right, using the screwdriver provided, I'm now going to screw in the screws on each side. There are 3 on the one side and 3 on the other side. If you are going to be using other tools, I recommend a Phillips number 2 screwdriver. I now screw in the 3 screws on each side. And now check that they are tight. Note, I'm just making them hand tight. These do not need to be very tight. Notice that the screwdriver has a very short handle. The reason for that is they do not need you to make this very tight. Just a tip when opening this, open it very carefully because these items can easily fall out. Right, I'm now going to install the handlebar. There is a wire in the way here, and I'm just going to remove the elastic and just unravel the wire. Now on the side here, there's a screw. This needs to be loosened. I do not need to take it all the way out. I just need to loosen it so that on the inside here, it's not coming through. Right, so I have the wire out of the way. On the frame here, there are 2 holes on each side. Right, using the screws provided, I put the spring washer in first, followed by the flat washer, and now I'm going to put 2 screws on one side and 2 on the other side. Right, so the one screw goes there, and the other screw goes underneath. Be very careful not to get the wires stuck between the plate and the shaft. Notice the wires are loose. I can now tighten the 2 screws on the one side and the 2 on the other side. Right, this is the orientation of the handlebars. This is the side view of the unit showing the orientation of the handlebars. This is the back view of the unit showing the orientation of the handlebars. Right, on the back there's a battery cover. I'm going to insert the batteries at this point. Right, now close the cover, and now these 2 screws need to be removed. Right, and I take these 3 wires and I feed them through this hole, and I connect the 3 wires together. Right, after connecting these 3 wires, I now mount this on this plate here. The 2 screws which I had previously removed will now be used. So the screw goes in there and feeds at the back here. Right, there were 2 screws on each side here which I can now fully remove. Right, these 2 screws were on the side here. I can now fully remove them as I'm going to use them now. Right, I'm just going to take the elastic which was provided and just wrap these wires so that they are out of the way. If you do not have an elastic, you can use some insulation tape. Right, now it comes with these 2 plastic pieces, and I'm just assembling them. Notice there's this open square here. That's going to go to the dowel side. Notice I'm going round towards the dowel side, and I encapsulate it like that. I'll show you again. Noting this groove is going to go there. So watch me. There we go. There's the one, and here's the other. Now all I need to do is screw it in place. Right, starting off with the silver screw. There it is, and there's a hole on the side, and it screws into the frame. There where my finger is, it's being screwed in. Now I do the same thing on the other side with the silver screw. Now there are just 2 screws left. Right, so this one goes over here. Right, so that black screw goes there, and the other one is here on the edge. Now step 6 is to just install your water bottle. Right, your unit is now built. If you need to move it around, you flip it forward onto the wheels, and now you can maneuver it. If your unit is uneven on the ground, you can just turn the feet according to your level. If I want to lift up this side, I'll just rotate this clockwise. Right, the unit is now ready for use. To make it easier, I rotate this to 1. To burn more calories and make the step more difficult, I rotate this clockwise to the higher level. it should be getting harder to step. Your LCD display should show the time. It should also show the speed, the distance, the calories, and the odometer. If I put my hands on the sides here, it should show my pulse, and there it is. Right, everything is working. Thanks for watching, and cheers.